Hey, Brian, John Worrell.
Hey, War. How's it going?
Not bad. Yourself?
Good, thanks.
Good. Just, I know you've said this numerous times over and over again, that, we'll win if we can throw the ball 50 times or run the ball 50 times. Is there something to the fact that you finally ran the ball almost 50 times yesterday? And was there any validation of the fact that you could, as Sean McDermott says, pivot to that when the passing game wasn't working?
John, we just do what we think is best to win the game. I'm not being a smart guy either. Look, we thought, obviously we had a few turnovers there, and just try to calm things down a little bit. And the offensive line and Motor and the perimeter guys did a good job. And, we were moving the ball and, staying away from some situations where we put ourselves in earlier in the game. And that was just a game. I don't know, whatever it was, 40 sometimes, but we had no problem doing that when it's working.
Is it reassuring that it did work when you needed it most?
Yeah. I mean, you try to call plays that work the best you can. And again, I'll always, credit the guys that are out there with their hands in the dirt, blocking the guys that they're supposed to block. And I'd say our backs, both Zach and obviously Motor ran hard. Those guys did a good job of controlling the line of scrimmage and making positive yards. So credit goes to those guys.
And just the last thing on a similar subject, I don't want to say that that there's been a change in the offense's identity, but there seems to have been more of an emphasis on running the ball since the second half of the Tampa game. Is that a fair assessment?
I guess the numbers are the numbers. Again, what we're always going to try to do is, if we think one thing gives us an advantage or the other thing gives us an advantage or a balance of it, that's the only thing we try to do each and every week. There's not a set of, amount of runs that I'm looking to get called or passes or things like that. I think there's ebbs and flows of every game and adjustments that need to be made. And, yesterday we just so happened to run it a good bit of time, particularly there in the second half.
Much appreciated, Brian, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, John.
Hey, Brian. Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Thank you. I was wondering, can you take us through the play call on the pass to Dion Dawkins?
Yeah, it was just Dawkins pass, and they ended up covering it. So Josh kind of threw it where no one else could get it. We've run that maybe not the same exact way, but a similar way, a few years back. And they did a good job covering it. First down play. So go to the next down.
Dion was also very happy to tell us yesterday that it's called the Dawkins Pass. When did y'all start calling it that?
When we put it in.
Okay.
Yeah. Try to simplify verbiage, and it's really a one-man read. I mean, there's a potential to go to another guy, but really a one-man read. And if you got it, you got it, and if you don't, you throw it away.
Awesome.
So,
thanks. Oh,
I'm sure Dion liked having it called after himself.
You did for sure. Appreciate it.
You got it.
Hey, Brian, Josh Reed here. Happy New Year to you.
Same to you, Josh.
The kind of sticking with Dion there, he also said that it said a lot that Josh trusted him in double coverage to throw him the ball.
He's made a few nice catches in practice.
But what he's more known for, blocking up front. What have you seen from him the last couple of games? Because there have been some plays on tape where he is now just taking people out.
Yeah, I'd say he's meeting expectations and standards that we have him and we have for him. And I'd say he has, more importantly, for himself. He's had to deal with obviously being sick a couple times during the year. But he's playing his best football right now, and that's what we need him to do. He's one of our better players. And he's got to do it week in and week out, particularly this time of year. He's had some good plays some tough plays, some effort plays, some chase plays, some really look, when you're an offensive lineman, you're usually a very selfless individual. You're blocking for, receivers and running backs and quarterbacks and trying to protect those guys, and don't necessarily get a bunch of accolades or photos in the paper and things like that. So, I wouldn't just say Dion, I'd say that entire group the last couple of weeks, they've had some good resolve. We're going to need them to continue to be better. That's where it starts, is up front.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate
You got
it,
it, Josh.
always.
Yep, me too. Thanks.
Hey, Brian, how are you? It's Sal here.
Hey, Sal.
Hey, to a lot of us, it looks like, and a lot of fans, I think, that Devin's just running a little differently the last 3-4 weeks. Maybe a little more physicality to him, maybe a little bit more straight line, not as much trying to do something before he's getting hit. I don't know. Is that a perception? Is that something you have seen in him that's changing his game a little bit?
No, I think he's been a really consistent player for us, Sal. Running backs, look, we've thrown the ball a lot here. Say we'll continue to throw it a lot too, but he's done a good job. I'd say he's had more touches, and sometimes for a running back that helps to get into a flow. Now it's got to work to keep doing it. And he's done, since he's been here, all he's done is improve. Keeps his, he's a really good kid that has worked really hard. He busts his tail in the off season, doesn't say a whole lot, and, certainly very dependable for us in a lot of areas of playing the running back position.
Dion Dawkins, Buffalo Sports 1080. How you doing?
Good, Mook. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's to you. Coach, yesterday, Singletary over 100 yards. What do you got to say about just the way the run game performed between your running backs and the offensive line together?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I was a lot of yards and made a lot of critical plays at critical times. The offensive line. But look, it's team football regardless. It's quarterback decision making on a few of those plays with the design of them, and whether it was an RPO or a read, whatever it may be. But in order to run the ball, you got to be physical up front. You see the hole and hit the hole, and you got to run with the ball in your hand, and you need blocks from the perimeter guys and finish. That's the run game. They did a good job with it yesterday.
Right. And how much patience must you have before you to make that quick burst decision? How important is that, Coach?
For the running back?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, Luke, there's a variety of different type of run schemes. We could be here for a long time talking about the footwork and the reads and, a gap scheme with one puller versus two pullers versus no pullers versus an outside zone and inside zone. There's, and I know this, there's, various techniques and fundamentals that a running back has to execute to time up with the blocking pattern of the offensive line and the ball handling of the quarterback. But usually in this league, I'd say the best thing is you got to hit the hole before it closes, because it closes quick. And just kind of leave it at that.
No doubt, Coach. You look good pulling too, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
Good luck this week.
Thank you. Happy New Year again.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Dave. Happy New Year. Just wondering.
Hey, Dan. Happy New Year.
If we talk about adversity and how it, shapes teams, the word that's been passed around a lot, it seems like, has been urgency around the building over maybe the last month. How can that shape the offense? Because it seems like since I don't mean to put my input on it, but since the second half of Tampa Bay, it seems like the urgency has been ramped up another level. Have you felt that? Is that something that affects everything?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Dan. Look, we talk about adversity and being resilient really at the start of when we all come back after that season had just ended. Because I think it's important to educate your team, particularly guys in today's day and age, with all the things that are going outside, to try to do your best to really focus on your job, and build trust in the room with one another, knowing that things aren't always going to be perfect. I'd say urgency is always there, because it's really hard to compete in this league if you don't have it. It's a highly competitive league, you know that. But once you get to, once you get to playing after Thanksgiving and you're kind of in the hunt, if you will, I'd say you have to. I think it's human nature to pick it up another level. I mean, every little thing makes a difference, whether you're playing in September, October, November, December, but it's human nature, right? You're getting toward the end of the season, and I don't think it's real healthy to watch standings and things like that. But let's be real. I mean, these young guys, I think a lot of them do it. And I don't think you can be naive to that. You got to teach it. You got to coach it. And you got to make sure you bring back the people together, unite them, and make sure we're focusing on the next week. Again, we've talked about this last week. I think it's the ebbs and flows. You don't want to be sitting on top of the mountain one week and in the valley the next, and you're going to have to go through some painful games. Obviously we did last year, we did the year before, but to have resiliency and a great mental toughness about yourself and your team, and just create that urgency each week, goes a long way. And even if you have the urgency and all that, you still got to play well and coach well and do the things you need to do for that particular week. That's a good question.
We talk about the ebbs and flows, but I just might follow up. When you have those low points, I know each season is different, but are you able, or do you ever look back to last year when things were really rolling and go, hey, guys, this is what we can still do, even though they're different seasons? I know. Does it help to do that, to get confidence back, I guess, maybe when you're at one of those ebbs?
Yeah, no, I'm not necessarily, go back to last year. I think as a coach, as you mature and, you're in this business for a while, you're going to have a lot of those. And I think the more you can learn from those, maybe it's not the exact same situation, but there's things that you had to go through as a coach with a team or as a leader with a team that you can draw from and be better at the next time that you do it. Because again, you want to win every game. You put your heart and soul into this each and every week. The players go out there, they practice hard, and you're working together as a coaching staff, trying to put them in the best position. They're working their tails off, and sometimes you fall short or it doesn't go the way you want. And you got to be willing to, pick yourself back up, look yourself in the mirror, look your players in the mirror, or look your players in the face and say, look, here's where we're at. And I think being consistent and not doing this, staying consistent, staying authentic for these guys nowadays is important.
Appreciate it as always, Brian.
You got it.
Hey, Brian, it's Jay with the Buffalo News. Happy New Year.
Same to you, Jay.
Thanks, Brian. You talked earlier, I think when you were talking about Dion, with the offensive line and sort of the juggling that you guys have been forced to do. The one constant there, though, has been Mitch really throughout that. I would have to think that's made his job a fair bit more difficult. How have you seen him respond to that? And has he even maybe elevated his game on the field and as a leader in response to that?
Yeah, I think that's a great observation. Yes, he's been a really, really good leader for us. I was just talking a minute ago to Dan. He's a very consistent individual. He's routine oriented. He is a great person, which I think that's a testament to the people that we bring in the building. I think we have a lot of those type of guys that love to compete, that love the game. But I'd say, playing that spot, center or quarterback or middle linebacker or whoever it may be, where you're looking at the guys in the face and you're making the calls on a play in, play out basis. I think he has a lot of confidence in what we're doing. I certainly know that we have a lot of confidence in him. There's things that come up each game and between each series that he has to make a split second decision and go with, trust his rules and handle it. And I think he's done a really good job of communicating to the other linemen with the quarterback, keeping us on the same page. But he's really done a good job for us. Not that he did it last year or anything like that, but I think he's taken another step in playing in that leadership role on the offensive line.
Yeah. And then last thing for me with Stefan, we're accustomed to the big numbers and the highlights and all of that, but he was a guy that he took some big shots yesterday, and he just kind of keeps popping back up. Is his toughness? What's that say about his toughness? Is that maybe one of his traits that I wouldn't say is overlooked, but maybe doesn't get brought up a lot, but is there in regards to his game?
Yeah, I think he's both physically tough and mentally tough. And he's been he's voted captain for a reason. He's been a really good leader for us. Glad we have him, but there's a lot of attributes that I could sit here and talk about him. I love the guy. I love what he's done for our football team, and we're going to need him here down the stretch.
Sounds good. Thanks, Brian. Have a good week.
You too.
There we go. Good afternoon, Coach. George Radney, Challenger Community News. How you doing today?
Good, George. Happy New Year to you.
Hey, Happy New Year to you too, you and your family as well. Question. I was wondering with Matt Breida, Isaiah McKenzie, and Devin Singletary. I noticed I hadn't seen all three of those. Is something maybe down the road with all three of those guys being on the field at the same time, as explosive as all three of them are, to help with the running game and maybe even help with giving the other runs to these other touches to these explosive guys that might be able to break one?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's always a possibility of everything. Last few weeks, we could go with two running backs. Last week was Zach and Devin. The week before that was Zach and Devin, and Breida was sprinkled in there. And little man, look, we look at every personnel group each and every week that we think we can use and utilize, and we try to use all the guys that are up and available for each game.
All right, thank you very much. Good luck this coming week.
Thanks, George.
Dad, we're having trouble hearing you.
Do you got me now, Brian?
I got you now.
Thanks, man. Sorry about that. Happy New Year. I appreciate you waiting for me.
Oh, hey, Thad. How are you?
Yeah, good, man. What went into the decision to keep Ryan Bates in the starting lineup this week?
He played well the week before. He's a guy that has done everything we've asked him to do since he's been here. He got an opportunity last week, did a good job with it, and played another good game this week for us. So he's a guy that really knows all our spots, but he earned it.
I think fans look at a situation like that where you've got a guy who's been successful, who's been on your team all year, and they wonder, why hasn't this guy been tried earlier? And it's not a fair take because this is something that happens in the league all the time. What goes into that situation where you have a guy on your team that maybe doesn't get the opportunity, and then suddenly, whether it's week 14, 17, whatever, all of a sudden you discover, wow, this can work here.
Yeah, I think that happens at a lot of positions, right? The people that you keep on your team, Thad, and I've spoken this at length, maybe last week or the week before, they all can help you. You can only play a certain amount. So you go with the ones for that particular game or whatever it may be that you think gives you the best chance. Doesn't mean anything that the guy's backing them up or anything like that. You're fully confident in those guys. And sometimes when a guy gets his opportunity that's in that role, they take it and they run with it. And we expect that out of all our guys. And certainly that, Ryan's done a good job. He's really done a good job since he came over from Philadelphia, wherever it was a few years ago. And he's made the most of it.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
You got it, Thad.